G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel. Here we are with the DRZ4S. I've just had a day of riding this thing, my first time on it, but I thought while I've got the bike here, I'll give you an up close and personal look at the thing so you can actually see what has changed from the previous model. I'll give a quick walk around and show you some of the features, what's changed, just give you a quick overall look at the bike. Just looking at pictures of this compared to the previous model, you might just think it's some plastics that have been changed and they've sent it out the door, but that couldn't be further from the truth. There's a whole lot of small changes on this thing, which eventually adds up to a big change and a big move forward. Starting up the front here, we'll go to the suspension. One of the major changes, we've got the inverted forks here, KYB suspension, front and rear, fully adjustable. Obviously up front as well, we've got this headlight, pumps out a lot of light compared to the stock one on the previous model. That's a welcome upgrade, that's for sure. You notice down here the exhaust. Now this thing looks a lot different. Previous model didn't have any of this funky looking bigger section. Reason being, this exhaust has two cats in it to help get this bike to Euro 5 emissions laws. So there's a cat just here at the front and there's another one back here in this area as well with the big muffler. I think they've done a good job to make it look good though. I think it looks good even though it has to have those cats in there for the emissions rules. I think the exhaust looks pretty nice. You'll see the seat. The seat's different. As I said, I've done a day on it already. A fair bit of sitting down to get to here. So far so good on the seat. New mirrors, they match the new modern styling. Blinkers as well, more modern with the LED blinkers there. Coming over to this side, we've got a few of the changes, probably the biggest change of all. This one right here, which is the fuel injection. That's obviously where the carb used to live. Not there anymore, guys. Got the fuel injection, makes this bike much smoother to ride. Up here, you'll see a spark plug, and no, it's not the original one that's been moved, it's an extra one. This bike's running a dual spark plug setup as well. I won't get into the nitty gritty, but it's to do with all the emissions and making this bike just run better. So there is a new one there, and you'll still have the original one that's up on top of the engine. Also just here, you'll notice we have a thermo fan fitted on this bike from factory, which is a great addition. Previous models did not have that, so people will be happy to see that on this bike, I'm sure. One thing that everyone's always curious about with this bike, but you'll see right there, we only have a 5-speed still. I don't think it's a deal breaker. I'll get into that more in another video of what I think, but it still is only a 5-speed, so everyone just be prepared for that. There is no 6th gear on the DRZ4S. Even just little changes down here. Got the swing arm. It's a bit of a different shape. You can see there with that molded, angled sort of piece. The other one was just a square shape, so a little bit more modern there on the whole swing arm. It's a whole new frame and swing arm and rear subframe design anyway, so that's all new. If you've got the pillion pegs, I don't think many people will be using them, but they're on there anyway. I haven't been able to dive too far in to the inside where the air filter is, but this whole setup here is new. This is obviously where the air filter cover was on the previous model, but now behind here you've got a couple of tools that are sitting there. I don't have any time at the moment to take all this off, but if you unbolt that, this plastic bit will come off and the air filter is in behind there. Hopefully I'll get a chance tomorrow or at some stage before I'm out of here to actually fully check that out and see what the air filter looks like behind. Get that back in there. Coming up the front here, we've obviously got the 8.7 litre fuel tank, a little bit smaller than the previous model, but it does look very nice, and it's actually very slim for when you're sitting up on the tank riding this bike. You see the whole cockpit looks completely different. These new fat bars, I absolutely love these. They are a very welcome addition. They look awesome. And then obviously you've got the TFT display up here showing everything, which the previous model had none of this. We actually have a fuel gauge. You've got all the ride modes. You just use this button over here with mode, the arrows. You've got the drive modes here, A, B, C. I'll get into more detail of all this in another video, but you got the 3 A, B, C ride modes. You got traction control settings down here. 1 and 2 is for your on-road sort of stuff, and then if you go down you can turn it completely off, and there's also G, which is a gravel mode, which I'll get into in another video and explain that a little bit further. And then also if you hold this button here, you can fiddle with the ABS. That's just the rear off. Hold it again and you get front and rear off, and then if you want to get rid of it, bring it back, turn that off. But if you turn the key off and back on, you have to do the ABS again. But if you just leave the bike with the key on and turn it off with the switch over here, it'll stay set as you have it. Another important one to mention, especially with me and us in Australia comparing this to the E model, I had to confirm what the sprockets are on this bike. With still only being a 5-speed, I wanted to know what gearing it's running. I can see on the rear it's a 43 tooth, and they've told me that under this cover is a 15 tooth. So this gearing is pretty much set for adventure riding. I run on my E model a 15 front and a 44 rear, and that gets me good to do about 110 kilometers an hour without too much effort. So this thing is geared towards that end of town, the higher speeds. So if you are looking to get this bike just to do mostly single trail or harder trails, you're probably going to want to change the gearings. Just wanted to let everyone know that this one is not going to come with the same gearing as the E model. I think it came from factory with a 14 tooth front and a 47 on the rear, so obviously geared to be more of an off-roader, tight, twisty sort of stuff. So this bike here will suit adventure riding straight out of the box. But the throttle up here looks the same as the previous models with a 2 cable system. It does have the cable, but it doesn't run all the way to a carb. Obviously runs down in here behind the seat somewhere to the electric system, and it sends a sensor from you using the cable, and then the sensor gives you the drive. So it's really smooth from what I've done so far. But that's one other change. They've also upgraded the brakes on the 4S, front and rear. Can't remember the exact sizes, I'll put them up on the screen, but they are 20mm bigger than the previous model on both front and rear. A little bit more extra brakes there. If you have a look in here, if you've got a keen eye, you'll see all these hoses weren't on the previous model. This is all to do with the ABS and how that all works. I'll have to wrap my head fully around it, but that's what all of those in there are. The horns on the opposite side than the other model was. They also have changed the linkage here at the bottom of the rear shock. This linkage is a different setup. It'd be nice to get this next to my bike back home, the E model, and compare the difference, but they have changed this to work better with comfort and the way it works. I'm not entirely sure how it all works, but they have changed it to optimize its performance in some way. As I said, I want to get into that air filter area and really check that out. But this little groove here that goes under the seat, this is for the airbox. This sucks in some air through here at the back, which is interesting. A little bit different to the previous model, as I said before, but the idea behind that is to get it quieter. The other one was noisy. You could hear the air being sucked in there, so that was a reason why they did that behind there, to reduce the noise of the airbox. If you do have a keen eye as well, you'll see the oil filler here has moved. Still got the oil that runs down through the frame, same as the previous model, but they've moved the filler here to the center. It used to be offset on the side of the frame there. So if you've got a keen eye of your DRZ, you'll notice the 4S has moved that there as well. Obviously the styling, as I said, really different, stands out next to the old model. I think this looks really good, brings it into modern times. But that pretty much wraps up all the changes and gives you a close-up look of the new DRZ4S. As I said, a bunch of small changes. Once you get close to this bike, you can see all of those, and they add up to a big improvement on the previous model. Styling looks amazing, and all these other little changes work together to improve this bike. If you want to get my initial thoughts after 2 days of riding on this bike, which I'll finish tomorrow, make sure you subscribe before you go, and I'll give you all my thoughts, the nitty gritty. Is it better than the previous model? Is it worth it? How much is it? I'll try and answer absolutely everything, but that's just a quick look at the new DRZ4S. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Like the video if you did, and as I said, subscribe if you want to see some more DRZ4S content from here in Portland, Oregon. Can't believe I'm in the USA. It's absolutely amazing. Alright guys, see you later.